Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. Today I have with me Zainab Rashid, who happens to be the owner of Zay Beauty. And my own relationship with Zay Beauty goes a long way because I started using products by Zay Beauty a really long time ago, and it happens to be one of my most favorite Pakistani beauty brands. So with Zainab, we've talked about her own relationship and journey with beauty, why she decided to make a beauty and make a brand, what are some of the reasons that she feels have led to the success of Zay Beauty. We've generally talked about the beauty industry globally in Dubai and in Pakistan as well. We're also talking about beauty standards. We're also talking about realness. We're also talking about real skin. And I think these are some of the things and thoughts that we all need to hear. So with that, here's Zainab. Hi Zainab.
Hi Hamna.
How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for making out the time and coming and doing this with me. I've been using your makeup for a very long time. In fact, जब भी मैंने lipstick लगाई हुई है, that's also Villa from the Mod Scott collection. It's so interesting. Before the podcast started, I just said, मैंने Zay Beauty की lipstick लगाई हुई है, and Zainab was able to tell which shade it is. I was so surprised because you have so many lipsticks. How can you know which one this is? I am just amazed.
I think the reason is I get to use them so much before I actually launch them कि मुझे पता चल जाता है अब.
And I think it shows that you're very involved in the process, of each lipstick. That's why you're able to tell which one it is. Okay, but before we get into Zay Beauty and everything regarding beauty, I just want to talk to you about you a little bit. So, where were you born and raised? Because right now you're living in Dubai, but what's your past like?
Okay, so it's a little bit of here and there.
Yeah.
I was born in Dubai.
Okay.
My father has always lived here. Okay. I was born here, but then when I think after grade 3, we moved to Pakistan. Me and my mother and my siblings, because good education here was very expensive. So my parents made a decision that it's better that they go to Pakistan and they, get equally good education, which is much less of a cost for them. And then we moved there. So it was my mother and my siblings. We all moved there. And then from grade 4 till I finished my university, I was in Pakistan.
You were in Pakistan, okay.
But then we used to visit Dubai a lot.
Yeah, because your father was here.
My father was here. So every summer we used to come here. Winter vacations used to come here. Then my siblings are much older than I am. So once my sister finished her studies, she moved to Dubai with my Abu. And then when my brother finished, he moved to Dubai. Okay. So at one point, my sister has started working for Emirates. Okay. And then even a long weekend in Pakistan, I used to be here because you used to get very discounted tickets. So I used to come here a lot. And then once I finished my graduation, as I mentioned, we moved here. Her whole family was here then.
Okay. And what was your life in Pakistan like? Where were you in Pakistan? Which city?
Yeah, so I always have to explain whenever I have to tell where we lived, because now it's a very well-known city, but us waqt pehle nahi thi. We live very close to Islamabad. There's a small city called Wah Kent. So we are from there. So I grew up there. I used to live there. All of my family, so my nani, my dad's side, my chacha, my tayas, my cousins, and everyone was there. Okay. So that's where I lived.
You lived in Pakistan.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of my life. Yeah.
So and growing up, what was it that you saw yourself doing?
Honestly,
in the future?
I wouldn't say that I was a very confused kid.
Okay.
I wasn't a confused kid, but I was not very clear on कि अच्छा मुझे बड़े होके डॉक्टर बनना है या मुझे बड़े होके इंजीनियर बनना है. For me, it was always like an open kind of a thing कि अच्छा I never even thought of, when I was very little, I remember once I wanted to be a deep sea diver. I don't know why, because now I'm very scared of water. And I remember once when I used to say I'm going to be a private investigator. And I don't know, once I think I was very set on being a geologist. It kept changing in very weird fields.
By the way, that's very interesting. Like, it's that just shows naivety, because, as kids, like we don't have a lot of barriers in our mind. Like,
exactly.
We think we can do everything. Yeah, and that's actually pretty cool. Like, if we felt like this today, that would be so awesome. But now we have so many mental and physical barriers, of course. But as a child, like, it's like the world is your oyster. I can do any and everything.
Exactly, yeah. So I used to think about all of these things. And then I think at one point when I was growing up, I wasn't sure that what I wanted to be. I would say that I was very creative. So I like drawing and I like crafts a lot. But there was a lot of pressure in the family that you have to study science, So that मैं उस तरफ जा नहीं सकी, like, maybe I would have become an artist, or maybe I would have become, and a lot of it was also because of my sister. She studied fine arts. I don't know how she managed to do that, but she was very studious and she managed to study fine arts. So I used to look at her, like, painting and stuff. So it used to inspire me a lot. And I wanted to, maybe I would have, but I never really thought of becoming a painter or aisa kuch. But I was
just stuff
creative.
You were interested in. So then what did you, like, when it was time to choose what you want to do in your life, what did you do? What did you do your graduation and why?
I just went with the flow.
Yeah.
I would say this is what happened. So when I finished my 10th grade, I had to choose my subjects. And I chose physics and maths and one more science subject. My grade 11th and 12th were just horrible. I hated my high school, like college, jo Pakistan mein college bolte hain usko. I hated it. I didn't like the teachers. I didn't like the place. It was just, maine pata nahi wo 2 saal kaise guzare, bas guzar liye. And then after that, I wasn't sure what I have to do. So I took a gap year. For 1 year, I was not doing anything, and I was just like wondering, and people kept asking me, in Pakistan, it's like, क्या करना है तुमने आगे, क्या पढ़ना है? And I was like, यार ये क्यों मुझसे पूछते रहते हैं हर वक्त, just leave me alone. And then what happened in the end, I just ended up choosing business. So I did my bachelor's in business, majored in marketing, and then after that I moved to Dubai.
Where did you do your business?
It was in VA. So that's also another story that my parents didn't feel like I could go and study in Islamabad every day.
Yeah.
Long commute. Yeah. So they're like, ये university है नई खुली है. It was a very new university at that time. अब तो बहुत साल हो गए उसको. It was called University of VA. I was like, उधर चली. और उनका जो business department था वो हमारा first batch था. So we were like the first batch in that department. And then I started there. I was not happy about it at all because I wanted to study in like a अच्छी बड़ी university, well-known type की. हाँ. और उस वक्त I was very angry. I think for 1 year I was not settling in, and I was very stubborn. मतलब बहुत बदतमीज टाइप के stubborn लोग होते हैं ना, मैं वैसी थी. At that age I'm not like that at all. I'm very thankful to that. So I was very angry. But now when I look back, then obviously I settled in, I found friends. My teachers were very nice. They chose some really good teachers from other universities to come and teach us there. So once I settled in, and now when I look back, I feel like it was a really, really good thing that I went to that university, because it was completely out of my comfort zone. The people that I met, the friends that I made, the people I had issues with, because obviously when you're studying in a university, it's 4 years long.
Yeah, there's some drama.
There's always some drama. So all the dramas that I went through, all the experiences I had when I was in university, they made me a very, very I would say very strong person.
Yeah, so basically it contributed to your growth a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm very thankful actually that I went there, yes. And it was very close to my place also, where I was obviously our home, and that was an easy part as well. But the friends that I made there, they became like my lifelong friends. Even now we talk every day, and I think it's because of the things we all went through together. Yeah. So it was very nice. And then after I finished, फिर मैं यहाँ आ गई, and यहाँ as soon as I came here, I landed a job, and I was very lucky. I found a job, started working, and while I was working, I did my master's.
From here?
Yes, I went to University of Wollongong in Dubai. I used to take my master classes in the evening. That
what did
was
you do
also
your master's in?
I did international business.
Okay.
Yeah, master's in international.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you moved from Pakistan back to Dubai, obviously I know that you were traveling between Pakistan and Dubai a lot. So I guess you probably didn't feel a lot of difference, but how did it feel to move back? Like, what were your feelings like about Pakistan then and leaving Pakistan?
I was excited to move because then ek to ye tha ki now our whole family will be together, you know. So I was very excited to move, and I wanted a change. एक तरह से I felt like मेरी बस भी हो गई थी थोड़ी सी, again going back to the experiences in university and the people we met. I felt like, yeah, this is a good next step towards my growth. I wanted to actually start working ASAP. Like वही मेरा goal था उस वक्त कि, you know, I should find a good job, start earning and all that. So it was a good next step, but I felt very lonely. Yeah, when I moved here.
Yeah.
I felt very lonely because I didn't have any social circle here. Because whenever I used to come here, I used to be with my family, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have any friends. So I had no friends. In Pakistan, I was quite independent. I used to drive myself, and mujhe sab pata tha, you know, I can go here and there and get myself. Yahan everything was new.
Everything was new, yeah.
So I didn't have a car. So I remember initially when I started working, I used to take a metro, which was obviously fine, but it doesn't give you a lot of freedom to go everywhere you want, right?
Yeah.
So वो जो change था ना, I really struggled. I remember I used to miss my friends so much. We like यार and plus वैसे ही आप यूनिवर्सिटी से जब निकलते हो ना, sorry, जब यूनिवर्सिटी से आप निकलते हो वो जो ट्रांजिशन होती है वो वैसी मुश्किल होती है, because you're meeting your friends every day, and now you don't have anyone, you know?
Yeah.
So and plus I started, as I mentioned, immediately. So I got really busy with work. So there was work, and then I had no friends. And I was just used to feel very lonely.
Yeah.
And Dubai felt very big.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next, because VAC and, you know, this as small as it gets.
Exactly.
You know, so communal.
It's so small.
So small.
Yeah.
And from that environment to this big city, but they go sheep in the big city valley feeling.
Exactly.
And also, so that is why I asked you this question, because the transition had many layers. So like there was this layer of very small town to big city. Then from leaving your friends and everything, such a comfortable environment to, you know, not having anyone at all. And then also, I think once you graduate, it's like from education to work. Adulthood in a, you know, different way. So that's why, you know, that's why I asked you this question, because all of that is, it's not just one change. It's a lot of different changes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
no, it was very, very overwhelming for me. I remember if I had to go and get something from a grocery store, everything, or I have to go to the bazaar, right? So everything was 10 minutes away in the car, or you would even just walk, you know?
Yeah.
And here, everything was minimum 30-45 minutes. And my brain couldn't grasp it. I was like, what is this life? I'll spend it on the roads. Like, what is this? It was very, very overwhelming. And I think it took me some time. And even now I'm very used to it. You know, 30 minutes of commute is nothing for me now. But I still can't tolerate a very, very crowded spaces.
Yeah.
I get very overwhelmed. I get very anxious. I hate going to Dubai Mall.
yeah.
If somebody says, let's go to Dubai Mall, I'm like, no, I cannot. So that sense of वो जो anxiety उस वक्त develop होना शुरू थी, वो कहीं अभी भी है. But you know, obviously this is my home now.
This is your home now.
Now I've settled. Yeah.
So you got married here. Yeah. And what about your job? Like, what was your first job?
So when I came to Dubai, obviously I started applying, and I found work in a really good government organization here. It's one of the free zones in Dubai. And initially I started in customer services. So I had to help the customers in their queries, what issues they have and all of that. But I wouldn't say I was really good at my job, but I think I was okay. I was good. That I only had to do for 1 year. And then I moved to business development, which was more focused on project-based stuff. So that was creating new products and services for the member companies, or actually product development. And then since then, I've been in some format of that job, but obviously progressing.
So you're in the same place.
I'm in the same place.
How many years has it been?
It's been 12 years.
Oh my Wow.
Yeah, it's been 12 years. When I think about it, it's like a whole lifetime, to be very honest. It's like, it's an era, you know?
It's an era. Yeah, because it's over a decade. Yeah.
But it's been nothing but amazing. Like, I really like the place where I work at. I really like the people, the management. I've been very fortunate. Obviously, there have been ups and downs. ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत ही smooth sailing था हमेशा. But and I'll touch upon that when we start talking about Zay. But then overall, I think the company is really good at retaining their employees, and that's why I've been there. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy that I chose
you're there because you're happy there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's your corporate job. Yeah. So where did Zay Beauty come in the picture?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So this was back in 2017. As I said, I work in a really good place, but there have been ups and downs. And I was not very happy with I wouldn't say with my job, because my job has always been really good. The kind of projects that I handle, big projects, you know, a lot of like impactful stuff that we have made. Yeah. So it's always been good. I think it was something around the environment at that time of the kind of people that I was working with. Yeah. At that time, I was quite unsatisfied in a sense that, you know, you can say I'm very unhappy with my job is one statement, but it was not that. For me, I was feeling quite worthless.
Right.
And there were outer forces involved in that, you know. कभी-कभी होता है ना कि आपको खुद समझ नहीं आ रही होती कि why you feeling that way. So it was that. अब मुझे समझ में आ गया why I was feeling that. At that time I couldn't understand why I was feeling that way. And I felt like whatever I did was not good enough. And it's not that the person I was reporting to was not good, because he's amazing. So there were things that were happening which were making me feel that way, and I was feeling quite bad about the overall, just demotivated, very sad. And now when I look back at it, because again I was not very well informed about, you can always hear things like depression and anxiety and all of that. I was going through all that, but I didn't know.
You didn't know, yeah.
I had no idea. But now when I look back at how I behaved, being in bed the whole day.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to come out. I've had days like that. And that's not normal. Yeah. You know? So I went through all that, but I had no idea what's happening, other than the fact that I was just not feeling good. Or I didn't feel like whatever I did at work was good enough, or I made a report was good enough, or I wrote an email, it doesn't look like that it's a good
so basically the sense of self-worth, your self-esteem was really low.
It was very, very low. So then after that I started thinking, and I was like, you know what, it was a conversation that I was having with my husband. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start a makeup brand. And he is, Hamesha says, always supportive. He's like, yes, do it. And I'm like, okay, I will do it. And this was just that one first statement I remember so clearly that I made. And I had no next steps. It was just a statement. And I remember after that, every other day I'll open websites online, research, trying to find suppliers. And then slowly, and it was a very slow process because I ended up launching in 2018. So mine started back in 2016 se bhi pehle, maybe 2015, 2016, finding suppliers. I then had a very clear idea of what I want the first product to be, which was an eyeshadow palette and the segmentation in that palette and the colors I want and the reason I want to do this, you know, was very clear. All of that was very clear. And slowly it became even more like, you know, bahut saaf hota gaya, the whole thing. And then I finally launched in 2018 January.
So you said that you just randomly said to your husband that you want to start a makeup brand. Why makeup?
So I have always been very fond of makeup.
Okay.
Growing up, I remember my sister is quite older than I am. She's 10 years older than me. So when I was like a young little girl, she was a teenager. And then, you know, when she got married and everything, I was still choti si. So I always used to look at her makeup, her stuff, unko check bhi karna laga ke. And slowly, I was growing up. I started putting on makeup. For me, it was a form of like a creative outlet.
Right.
It never actually was looking beautiful. It was more of like, I want to try this. I want to see eyeshadow kaise lagate hain, you know, and dimensions kaise hoti hain eyeshadows mein.
Okay, so you were curious about the art of makeup. Right.
I remember and at that time wo YouTube
tutorials
shuru hue the, and there was this one beauty blogger I used to watch her tutorials. Her name was Marlena, makeup geek. I love her. She's still there and I love her, and she's amazing. So I used to watch her videos, and I think she was one of the first ones who used to start posting on YouTube. So I used to just like experimenting. मैं eyeliner बहुत अच्छा लगाती थी, तो मुझसे सब eyeliner लगवाते थे. सब, you know, makeup मैं बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं करती थी because I was just learning off like YouTube तो बाद में आया, उससे पहले तो खुद ही लगा के. And फिर भी सब लोग मुझसे मेकअप करते हैं, हमारा मेकअप कर दो. And I look back at the pictures like, what were you guys thinking? What was I thinking? But anyway, so वो interest था. And I remember when I started working and earning money, I used to have a portion of my salary that I used to keep just to buy makeup. So I used to buy so much makeup. Itna makeup मैं खरीदती होती थी from like, and plus I was here, so I had access more to like, you know, international brands, and जो भाई मैं Sephora में मिल रहे हैं, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा makeup लेती थी. मैं ढेर, हर deliveries आती रहती थी. People like, oh my god, this girl. Office में deliveries आती थी, सबको पता होता था. So I was always interested in makeup. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता था to try new things, to formulas. अच्छा ये क्या है. And that's why for me it was like a very obvious thing.
Right.
You know, when I started thinking about it, the first statement that came out of my mouth was makeup.
Yeah.
Because it was so clear.
Yeah.
It was never like कि मैंने business start करना है, अच्छा मैं क्या business start करूँ. No, I never even looked at it as a business.
Yeah.
For me initially it was not even about making money. It was coming out of that feeling that I was having.
Yeah.
You know, I'm worthless, you know.
Yeah, and you want to pursue something that you care and love about. Yeah,
and you know, it's like one of those things or one of those decisions in my life that actually did exactly what I thought it would.
Okay, what does that mean?
So the feeling of being worthless, completely gone after I actually was doing this. It actually did that for me.
Do you think... Okay, sorry. You can complete your...
No, it actually did that for me, which is so interesting when I think about it. Yeah.
Do you think, like, why do you think that happened? Like, do you think it was because you felt that you were... So, because see, it solved the problem of your self-esteem and your self-worth, right? Do you think it's because you felt that this brand sort of created an impact and you derived your worth then from that impact that, you know, I can create and I have an impact and do you think it's that?
It is that, yes. That's one thing. The first thing I would say it's because I felt like I was in control.
Right. Yeah.
So I was making what I wanted to make.
It was your, so you were giving sort of freedom. Yeah.
I think that gave me that control, which I felt I didn't have even on myself. Like, I made this, I created this. I'm going to launch it. I'm going to launch it the way I want to launch it. And then obviously after I launched, and I remember the first time somebody used it online and just they got the PR box and they opened it. It was this Lahore-based makeup artist. Her name is Mavish Amir. Misha Amir is her Instagram handle. And she was doing a live. And she took it and she opened it. And then she started swatching and putting it on. And she was just so impressed. And she's like, oh my God, ये तो बहुत अच्छा है. ये तो, because it was a new thing, right? किसी को नहीं पता था Zay Beauty क्या है. किसी को भी नहीं पता था. क्योंकि उस वक्त पाकिस्तान में क्या हो रहा था, that everyone was using these, they were called first copy of international branded makeup.
Okay.
So all of these international makeup brands, they used to have these first copies, which were copies at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So for them to have like a Pakistani brand launch an eyeshadow palette, I think that kind of did make an impact. And that's the reason also that I wanted to do an eyeshadow palette and not lipstick or a very like standard product, because I felt like I have that creative, freedom on this to do so much.
Yeah.
So the naming that I did, and I did the segmentation of what to apply where in that palette, and the story and the colors and all of that, the names and stuff.
Yeah, so there was a lot of thought and creativity going. Which brings me to this question. Like, Zay Beauty has always been branded in a very desi way, right? So what was the thought behind that?
I am very desi.
Okay.
I think because I lived in, people don't maybe know that I've lived in Pakistan for such a long time. I lived in Pakistan. I love Pakistani culture, fashion, everything, I feel like we have such rich culture. And also it's not being represented, especially in the beauty industry. Nahi ho raha, bilkul bhi nahi ho raha. So for me, when I was creating it, it was just very clear that I want this to be represented in the brand. The colors, the colors or shades based on Pakistani skin tones is one thing, which was obviously there. But other than that, I also want the names and people to know, like, acha, ye mod skirt kya hai? It's such an old term.
Mod skirt log hai.
I know. So I've gotten comments initially when we launched. कि यार ये क्या है, वो एक टर्म यूज़ करते हैं which I'm not gonna use here, which I feel is very wrong. जो हम बड़े नाम से बोलते हैं, but this like ये क्या, ये तो बड़ा ऐसा लग रहा है, and people might be able to guess what I'm implying, but and I was always used to reply, इसमें बुरी कौन सी बात है, how is that a bad thing?
Okay, can you just say the term? I think it's okay.
पेंडू,
okay, yeah.
थोड़े पेंडू से ये names क्यों रख, Zainab and इस तरह क्या नाम था, it was Zainab, there was Aziza, which is my grandmother's name, so ये क्या नाम, इसमें बुरी कौन सी बात,
इसमें बुरी बात नहीं, वो
it's just offend हो जाओ, मतलब ये offensive है, मतलब how do you think your statement is offensive?
And these names, I think it's because हम लोगों को वो पता ना, लोगों को अपने हमारा गोरा कॉम्प्लेक्स इतना ज़्यादा है कि anything that's देसी उससे वैसे ही आपको तचेड़ सी होती है कि no, but I loved it. Like, I remember so many years ago, I think the first product that I came across from Zay Beauty was, I think that was one of your highlighters. उस पे वो एक वो दुल्हन टाइप बनी हुई है.
It was my illustration that they made.
And उसने वो नत्सी पहनी हुई है. And I was just like, wow, because I feel like, and can continue to say how smart you were with your business, because that was such a unique selling point for that business, because it catches your eye, because you see everything looking the same, and then there's Zay Beauty, and then I saw those names and the jhilmils and the taras and then the लड़कियों के नाम and the क्या थी वो Saloni, like all of these things. I was just like, wow, yeah. I was very impressed. And then obviously since then you've come so far. So yeah, I think that was so nice. And now like Zay Beauty has become so huge. I think it's one of the biggest beauty brands in Pakistan right now. I want to ask, why did you decide to do this in Pakistan? For Pakistan.
So for me, I just saw the gap in the market.
Yeah, okay.
At that time, I remember I just told you. Okay, sorry. So at that time, everyone was using fake products.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not everyone, but
A lot of people.
a lot of people were using fake products and very openly using fake products. And I don't mind. Everyone has their own thing, but this goes on your skin, right? So this goes on your face, and it can really badly, impact. What if you get a burn, or what if it goes in your eye and your eye get infected? Because there have been cases like that, right? And plus you're copying another brand who has made this product, Khoon Pasine se, beshak international brand hai, but they have invested and made that product, and you're profiting off their creativity, right?
Yeah.
So I felt it was happening because the international brands itself were very expensive for people to buy, right? So how can you afford a 5,000 ki foundation or 7,000 ka kuch, eyeshadow palette?
And they weren't even available as well, right? So
accessibility nahi thi.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the accessibility bit, that people should have access to easily to buy makeup. And secondly, good makeup, which comes from a right source. And third, affordability.
Yeah.
Right. So people should be able to afford it.
Yeah. I think you checked all of those tick marks, because I think besides the branding being your unique selling point and everything, the kind of makeup that you brought to Pakistan, like, it wasn't available. And it was so obviously so much better in quality, and that people had not seen before. Like, Abibi, I'm wearing your eyeliner as well. This is your highliner.
Me too.
And the villa I already talked about. And then and then I used your beauty blender.
Amazing. I'm so happy.
Yeah. So like, I know, and I feel the difference. I see it. And like, I just think that one can tell with your beauty products that thought has been put in. It's that.
Yes.
It's that thoughtful part.
So the thing with me is, I told you, remember, I was very stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not that kind of stubborn anymore. But I'm the other type of stubborn now, which is that if mere dimag mein ek concept baith gaya na, ki I want to do this, then I want to do that, and things like, and I've struggled with getting products made that I had my mind on because of that. Like, for example, highliner, if I talk about that, I had in mind, I want to do a dual-sided liner.
Yeah.
And usually, so when you create a product, there are two aspects to it. One is the packaging and one is the formula. So the formula, the supplier who will make the formula, he has his own MOQ, which is minimum order quantity.
Right,
and especially when you customize, you would know, when you customize product, it's much higher. But on top of that, if you're customizing packaging, right, then the MOQ for packaging suppliers is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy high. So I was set on creating this eyeliner. It's like, banana hai to bas yahi banana hai. I want a pen side on one side and liquid side on one side, so it gives more versatility. I couldn't find the packaging supplier. My supplier said, I will make the formula for you, but I can't find this packaging anywhere. So if you want to get this made, the minimum order quantity, because it's a custom eyeliner, is 30,000 units. Can you make this? And I'll keep using from there. Like, he has his, I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000. And I was like, 30,000 units, even if it's $50, it's $15,000.
Yeah.
I can't invest that kind of money on packaging. I can't do it. So it took so long, and finally I found a supplier in China, in Taiwan, not in China, in Taiwan, who had a similar packaging. But even for them, they said it's 12,000 minimum. It's still not like 2,000-3,000.
Yeah.
So you have to get 12,000 tubes, and we can do 6,000 filling on them.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up doing. I did 6,000 of the filled up tubes, and then they still have stock of 6,000 tubes, which I will then
Get
make
later.
next time.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
It's not.
Yeah.
I know. And that is why, like, you know, like, that is why I'm able to appreciate the brand, because I know. So because I've been on that site, so when I see the packaging and the customization and the effort, like, I know the effort, I know the money, I know the problems in supply, I know finding the right person. It's not easy.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, and when you do find everything, getting the money for it, you know, because you can eventually find it, but then yehi wali MOQs wali jo problem hote hain, and all of these things, I can do this but I can't do this, but if I can do this and this, the cost I can't. So it's really complicated.
It's just a lot. Now that I'm very lucky, most of my stuff is made by one supplier, most of it, but then I have a few others as well, like the Taiwan one did the eyeliner for me, and then there's another product that I'm getting made from there. But most of my stuff is from one supplier, and we become friends now because we've been working for so long. So now I fight with him on MOQ. Like, no, you have to do this, you have to. So he will reduce, because obviously it's a business for him as well, right? So he will maybe reduce 200, 300 pieces from the overall MOQ. So for example, if he's giving me 3,000, he will reduce it by 200-300, which doesn't make a huge difference, but it does make little difference when it comes to finance, right? So because we pay in dollars, so
So my next question is, because this podcast is a lot about beauty, right? So let's get into the depth of that. So I want to know a couple of things. First one being your perception about beauty at this point in time, and your perception of it, your relationship with it now, and how it has evolved over time. So by perception, I would mean, your thoughts and opinions on beauty and beauty industry and beauty standards and all of these things. And by relationship, I mean is, you know, हर किसी का beauty के साथ over time एक relationship होता है जो evolve किया होता है, right? You could have, you know, like I could have grown up thinking, oh my God, like I'm so dark, or I have dark circles, or I could have grown up with, you know, I'm beautiful and I love beauty and everything to do with beauty. And then अब आप बड़े हो जाते हो और आपका relationship change होता है. So I want to know about yours.
When I was growing up, I'll start by saying this. Right now, my relationship with beauty is that I find everyone beautiful. And I'm not just saying it for the sake of it. I swear, every single person I meet, I afterwards, or even to them, I tell them, I think you're beautiful. Because everyone is beautiful. You know, it's just our way of thinking and how our brain is conditioned. That's messed up.
Yeah, the beauty standards.
So yes, so I'll go back to that. When I was growing up, I never felt I was beautiful. Ever. Because I was told that. You know, I was told I was chubby. And that's a bad thing, apparently. I was told I was dark. You know, so that's a bad thing. And made fun of, you know, oh, she's dark. Or, like, it's a bad thing, you know. Hi, Samli si. उसके नक्श बहुत प्यारे हैं, सांवली सी है लेकिन and you know वो सुन के कि they say it in a way that it's a bad thing, you obviously will believe. How would a kid growing up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be able to take this positively or believe that nahi, I don't care what they're saying, I know I'm beautiful. You know, you don't. It does impact you. You believe that you are not beautiful. So for me, it was my complexion and it was my weight. And I was told everywhere. I remember once, even in school, like with friends or the classmates, because their brains are also conditioned in a way that they are heard in the family that you are so beautiful because you're so fair, that they think that they are above you. You know, girls your age, they would think they're above you because they are fair and you are not.
And a lot of the times, you know, there's a lot of, even if people don't say it, so because adults also are, you know, have the same beauty standards and everything. So when the way that they behave towards children who may be darker and then towards children who are fairer, you feel that and you see that, like who's, cuter and who's getting more attention and
everything is decided upon that. Like I would say I was such a fun kid. I think I was a very fun person to be around. I was like मैं बस उल्टे सीधे काम, like going out, playing outside, cycling, ये वो. None of that was noticed. What was noticed was she's chubby and she's dark. Anyway, so I grew up believing that कि है ऐसा ही है. And फर्क करना चीज़ों में. From random people. I had aunties telling me what to mix in and put on my face. And at one point, I remember वो जब नहीं बहुत ज़्यादा आया था, there was this mixture of creams that people used to make and put on the face. There was like 2-3 very shady गोरा करने के लिए. And then I did that. Now I look back, but मैं openly इस बारे में बात करती हूँ. I did that
That's
too
good,
because I was told that you are dark, so you need to. And I used to hear things like, वो लड़की मतलब फलां लड़की है, वो तो बड़ी डार्क होती थी, अब इतनी खूबसूरत हो गई है, उसका ऐसे. So मतलब ये चीज़ें सुन के, I believe that नहीं, I am not beautiful. And I think maybe that's why I loved experimenting with makeup. And again, I would come back to that. It was not to make myself beautiful. It was just something that maybe made me look different or something that I had control over. कि अच्छा मैं eyeshadow लगा के and bright eyeshadows and dark eyeshadows and ये लगा के, I would just feel good about myself. Everything changed when I moved to Dubai. कुछ समझ तभी आ गई थी when I was in university, because obviously when you're growing, then you see things and you're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I think the mindset completely flipped when I came here.
Why?
And I think everyone used to tell me you're so beautiful. Because here it doesn't matter if you are dark, if it doesn't matter you're light. It really doesn't matter. People don't care about these things, So I used to hear people say that, and I'm like,
I have never heard this in my life growing up, and suddenly
exactly like, you're beautiful, your hair's so nice, or your nose is so nice. And I always thought my nose is very long, or wo. So it slowly, and then I started, and वो दिमाग फिर से recondition हुआ, and then I started looking at everyone
that way.
And honestly, I'm not making this up, I swear. I find everyone beautiful. Everyone online is beautiful. For me, I find, मतलब मैं अब ऐसा भी कभी हुआ है that I'll show people, it's like, oh my god, look at this girl, she's so beautiful, and they look at me and be like, no, she's not. It's like, no, but she is, So now it's like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important that when your kids are growing up, or you see any kids around you, never say such things to them. It's the worst thing ever. It damages their self-esteem, right? And if somebody's saying that to your kids, you have to then and there stop them. Like, this is not okay. If somebody ever, I'm not again surrounded by people who would say something like that to my kids, but I'm ready. Just say it once. Not just my kids, even other people. Like if I feel somebody say someone to a random kid in front of me, I will stop them.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
You cannot do that to little kids. It's so wrong. Because it has impact. I'm still, अब वो रंग वाली चीज़ तो चली गई, face वाली चीज़ चली गई, but I'm still not happy with my body. I have so many body image issues. Most of the time I'm okay, but then it hits me all of a sudden. And that happened all because when I was growing up, I was told.
Yeah. And it's just so hard to unlearn these things about yourself, because you just believe in them so much. Yeah.
So that is what my perception of beauty is. I feel like everyone everyone's beautiful. Yeah. Again, I'm not just saying it in an emotional way. I actually believe that.
And I've seen, so on your own Instagram page, I have seen you advocate for real skin, and what real skin looks like beyond the filters and beyond the coverage and everything, and real skin with coverage as well, right? And it's it's interesting when it comes from somebody who has a beauty brand, right? So what are your thoughts on that? And that kind of made me realize, okay, that there is something there. Like there's a lot of maybe depth in your perception of beauty that you already told me about. And you're kind of challenging beauty standards, right? So why is this something that
I feel for years now, the perception of the beauty industry is so bad. It's all to do with being this very fake beautiful, you know, because you see everything through pictures and your screens, right? So if we follow like international brands and international influencers, that's what we feel is what it is.
That's the standard.
Industry, that's the standard.
Yeah.
And because they become big, right? So all of these people who have just had like really bad, again, I don't want to name names, but I'll just say like people like Jeffree Star or people like James Charles, and people like there's so many good ones as well. But I'm just talking about there's a influencer called Amrazi.
Okay.
And good for them what they're doing, you know, they're successful in their business. But because they are so big in this industry, the perception became that beauty industry is all about looking fake and beautiful, like that kind of beautiful. And then secondly, that it's just toxic, you know? So because I don't know why, where does this toxic behavior come from? Keep fighting with each other, putting each other down. I don't see that much in other industries. Beauty industry is just crazy, like it's bahut zyada. So I always felt there's just so much more to this industry and beauty beyond that. The people who are not that big but doing amazing work in, again, the beauty industry are not seen that much, or not, they don't inspire people, or they don't make an impression as much as the other people do. So for me, it was like going opposite to that. Like I had to change. I am a very normal individual, you know. I own a beauty brand. I don't want to look like that. I want to look like what I am, you know. There are days I would not do makeup and I'll look like this, and I'll go to supermarket to buy something and I'll still look like this. And there are days I'll do my makeup and I'll look a bit different, but I'll still not say that I look like this all the time, or this is who I am, because I'm not.
So basically what I'm understanding here is that sometimes, or basically, makeup should not be utilized in a way to lie to people or to yourself of what you actually look like. So it should not be. So makeup and how your face looks with makeup or with filters should not be something that you're attaching your worth to.
Exactly. And I see people doing that. Even in Pakistan, a lot of influencers, they do makeup and then they'll have 500 filters. 500 is too many.
No, like, I get your point.
They'll have this filter. It's like, no, but I can't see what your makeup actually looks like. You have a blush with filter. You have a blush on and you're showing a blush, and then you have a blush with filter with blush. So what am I supposed to see? But the sad thing, Hamna, is that is what attracts people.
And that is why people continue to do it. So it's a cycle, right? Like the more you look like that, the more attention you get. So you keep doing it more. And when you stop doing it, enough people don't appreciate it.
Yes. If you put filter on, you will definitely look better
because that is the standard.
But then that's not you.
That
doesn't look like you. I've been told by multiple people who have met me in real life that I look exactly like I do online. And that makes me so happy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I look fine online, I look fine offline. So where's the problem? What are you trying to solve? You know, when you put on filters, what are you trying to...
I think it's just that, like, at the end of the day, so I know that, you know, it's very easy to say to people, you know, that they're being fake or they're putting out a fake image of themselves and how they're, you know, portraying something that they're actually not. But when you really think about it, they are underlying insecurities, and they are all because of the beauty industry and the beauty standards, right? Those filters exist for that same reason in the first place. So people, like, I just feel like people have so much to offer, and they want to show up online, and they want to talk about things, or they just want to be there for whatever reason, right? But what is the one thing that stops them is the way that they look. They're not happy with that, so they're going to put on that filter, and it's going to make it easier for them to show up. So right, when you really think about it, like, I feel like that insecurity needs healing. And you know, it's not like I haven't done that. I've used filters in my life.
I've done it in the past.
I mean, everybody has done it, right? But what I'm saying is that it's just not like people who are doing it inherently, they're not trying to deceive people, but it's their internal thing that they're kind of dealing with, right? And they don't want to show up in a certain way. And sadly, actually, it's not even that. They don't want to be perceived in a certain way, because that's how people perceive when you look, perceive you differently when you don't have the filter on and you don't have the makeup on. So it's a chicken and egg. But at the end of the day, the responsibility does lie on these people to stop doing that, so it can be normalized for people. Right? And I understand why people do it, but they shouldn't be doing it.
And slowly the change is happening. It's not that nobody is still the same. It changed because I've been in it now for so many years. I see how change is coming. The Huda Beauty, now all of their campaigns are completely unfiltered. So all the pictures that they use,
and you can see the pores.
You can see the pores. So that's the real skin. That's the beauty of real skin. I get asked, because I also have a skincare brand, and this question is so common. I want to remove my pores, and I was like, oh my god, you can't remove your pores. Your skin breathes through the pores.
And by the way, pores are trending.
Exactly. So pores are nice. I love them. Same. So I feel like the acceptance also, that this is, once that acceptance is there, I think people move past that.
And I think, and I do think, like, I appreciate people who are, like, I really appreciate people who are able to do that. And I would, and if I have to say something about myself, is that I also struggle with it. You know, sometimes I generally don't use a lot of filters, but sometimes I do, because, you know, I have my own insecurities as well with my like आंखों के नीचे जो लाइनें होती है ना, like मुझे होता है अच्छा वो remove हो जाएंगी, you know, with the filter. So but you know, वो ये होता है कि that realization is very important. Like, I feel like the problem is when you are also lying to yourself. That is when it becomes a bigger problem. So having that I think conscious awareness of the fact that what you are doing is important, and then that can eventually lead you to take better steps in getting rid of these things. And the better your, you know, self-worth, the more you love yourself, the more you accept yourself, the further you get away from these things. And I felt that in myself, you know, at a time when I was not able to accept myself the way that I was, or accept my flaws. I wanted to use filters. But now that I've grown and I've become better at it, and I like the way that I am, and I have accepted the flaws in my skin or in my face, I'm able to, you know, get rid of filters. And I feel like I've come really far in that as well. Yeah,
it shows.
Yeah.
First of all, you've always been beautiful, but now that it really feels like you're so confident when you talk about yourself or on your stories. Like, it's different now.
Yeah, and I feel like I just don't really care about what anybody thinks. I do care about what I think, but not what anybody else thinks.
But I would also like to add here is, I know everything, the first person responsible is you, but also just be kind to others. Yeah, it's so important. You know, I feel, yahan par I was just telling you, when I moved here, people would give me compliments like, you look beautiful, or I like what you're wearing, and all of that. And I felt like giving a compliment just goes such a long way. People don't have that habit that much in Pakistan. Everyone is like, there's always this edge of like, why should I say that she looks nice? You know, if you see someone and they look good, or you think that tell them. It's just one statement. You know. And but see, Zainab, that's actually very valid. It's very important that everybody, like, you should compliment people. But see, that is a problem, and I'll tell you why. It's because
So when you are depending on compliments for your
that's
validation
true.
to make you feel better, then you will use the filter because that will drive the compliments, right? That is what actually happens.
That's true
Because
as well.
when you use the filter, you got the compliments. So you will use it again because that is why I'm saying you're lying to yourself because your self-worth is actually fake. It's you feel great, you feel on a high and you feel like I am so beautiful or I am so great. You feel a high of self-love and self-worth, but it's actually not real.
Exactly.
Because it is not an acceptance of who you really are.
वो बाहर से आ रही है.
वो बाहर से आ रही है और वो एक non-real चीज के ऊपर आ रही है. So it is not unless we actually people should compliment, yes, but when we see somebody who is not using a filter and then
or real life,
yes, then compliment them. But
true.
people don't do that.
No.
Yeah. So I feel like वो बड़ा flaw है ना. अगर हम इन compliments पे depend करना शुरू हो जाते हैं ना.
So that's the problem.
That's the problem. And that is why people end up using the filters. And the everything.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And you know, it's been a personal struggle for me as well. And I want to say this here that you have advocated for this on your stories quite a few times. And that has impacted me.
Oh,
and you
I'm
know,
so
like
glad.
you saying, oh, you know, you've seen that I've matured in that. And that is one of those things. Obviously, I've had a huge journey of inner work and everything. But this has impacted me as well. You know, okay, Zainab is right. Like, this is real skin and this is what it looks like. And I don't think that I'm there yet. But it's definitely something that I strive towards. You know, so I really appreciate that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just feel like there's very few people who are doing it like that. You know, sometimes I take a picture and I get tempted to put my Paris filter.
Paris filter,
a lot of the times because वो वैसे भी colors को भी जरा अच्छा कर देता है. Yeah.
नहीं, असल में पता है क्या? आईफोन का कैमरा ज़्यादा शार्प कर देता है सब चीजें. है ना? तो अगर मैं अपने आईफोन से फोटो ले रही हूँ, स्पेशली अगर वो बहुत क्लोज है, तो मैं कहूँगी यार मेरा शीशा इधर है,
लग रही.
हाँ, शीशा मेरे सामने ही है, ये फोटो क्यों ऐसी आ रही है?
ये होता है. उसकी वजह से I also end up using the Paris filter because I'm like, no, like असल में इस तरह नहीं लग रहा. This is more real.
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
Yeah, so I think, yeah. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. All of that, to be honest, it doesn't matter as much if you're like, if you know what you're doing, like you have a good self-worth. If you know that you love yourself with your flaws. So even if you are using the filter, but you are so sure of yourself that this is not the real you, you're not doing this for compliments. Without the filter, you are as secure. Use the filter.
Use the filter. Exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah.
No, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. So, and I really wanted to have this conversation with you beyond just the business and everything. So moving on from that, so where you started Zay Beauty and now it's running as a successful business, but you also have the same corporate job on the side.
Yeah.
Why didn't you quit your corporate job? And what are your, do you ever plan to quit it or make Zay Beauty full time, or why are you doing both?
So I get this question asked a lot. Why are you doing two things? You know, it feels a lot, and it is a lot. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it is.
And you're a mom of 2 kids as well.
So when I started, Zay was to be a side hustle. I've seen, actually, okay, I'll go back. I've seen people struggling a lot financially because they chose to follow their passion blindly without being practical, without looking at their responsibilities that they have. It may be their family, it may be their kids, it may be whatever responsible towards themselves also, right? So I've seen people struggling a lot and then eventually depending on other people to help them, which then impacts obviously the other people, right, in your life. I didn't want to do that. I felt like this is me, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. So I don't want to tell my husband, you work and I will do this because this is my passion. And I don't want to, like, I don't come from generational wealth. So I cannot go to my father and be like, mujhe itne sare paise de dein, taaki I can start my business and I can just do that. So it was me, and I happily took that role. You know, it was not a problem for me. I was like, I'm going to keep working, and then I'm going to do this, and I'll see where it goes. Then obviously, slowly, work started increasing with Zay. And then there have been times where I've had just too much on my plate. But then what I ended up doing was to hire more people to help me with Zay. But I was not able to, I didn't want to let go of my job still yet, because Pakistan, unfortunately, is not a very stable place to run a business, right? Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. Kabhi bhi kuch bhi ho sakta hai. And I saw the up and downs. So I was like, I cannot just let go of my very well-established job, which is paying me a certain amount every month, and I can do whatever I want to do, fulfill my responsibilities, but on the other side, also take care of myself and just live like I'm living, you know? So I didn't want to just let go of that and focus on Zay. And I felt like there was time when I could have done that, because Zay was वो थोड़ी सी stability आई थी ना पाकिस्तान में जब, उस वक्त मैं कर सकती थी. But I'm so happy I didn't do that, because it then crashed.
It then crashed. Yeah.
And I'm so glad कि मैंने वो decision नहीं लिया कि अच्छा.
And I think it gives you the freedom to, you know, take a back seat when things are not looking good with Zay Beauty, right?
Bilkul.
So that is why a lot of the times maybe the business decisions that you're making, they're not fear-based.
Exactly.
Because you have a safety net.
बिल्कुल. ऐसा ही है, absolutely. And I feel like when you really think about it, so whatever I make from Zay, I reinvest in it. And when I really sit down, kabhi hota na, you sit down and be like, but it's not giving me money, you know, I want the money, because again, I keep launching products. But then I really have to tell myself that it's giving me so much more, you know, and going back to that time when I was actually very sad about everything, and it did spin it around. And every day, like, there's so much it offers, you know. When I went to Pakistan, I met in Mashin Bazaar. It was the first time I had actually face-to-face met a lot of the consumers of the brand. And the way they spoke about Zay Beauty, you know, I had people, so we were standing in the booth and I had people walking by and they will just stop. I'll be like, oh, and I'll be listening. They're like, ye Zay Beauty hai, mere paas ki lipstick hai, bahut achhe products hai, chalo aao dekhte hain isme kya hai. You know, and all of that, you know, because online is different. People would only compliment you, सब लोग नहीं करते, right? हाँ, because everyone's busy. कहाँ किसी के पास time होता है निकाल के. I like so many product of international brands. मैंने कभी बैठ के नहीं बोला I love your this so much. Reviews नहीं दिए, नहीं जाके बोला. And then or they will say really mean things because maybe the product didn't work out for them. हो सकता है, it's fine. So meeting people face to face was so like, कि अच्छा यार, this is actually making a difference.
Yeah, and putting a face, you know, to your customers.
To customers, हाँ. And they'll tell us like, हमें foundation के shades यहाँ पर मिलते नहीं थे. Zay की वजह से हमारा foundation shade मिल गया. हमें ये भी, you know, आपकी, we love it and all of that. So it's giving me so much more, you know. All of the, फिर मुझे ideas देते रहते हैं. अच्छा आप ये करें. आप ना ऐसा launch करना. I've gotten so many nice ideas from people which I ended up doing as well. Yeah. So it's giving me all that. So maybe because I have a corporate job, I can take all of that positivity from all of this. Yeah. And then one day, inshallah, it will come to a point and maybe I will let go of my job. Yeah, but maybe. Again, that's the thing. Like, I'm very happy with my corporate job as well. Yeah. I feel like I'm able to do with Zay what I've been able to do because I've everything that I've learned from my corporate job. It is just, if I was out of university and I started this, no, I don't think I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, because you think that there's a lot you've learned from your...
So much.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I didn't want to let go of my corporate job. And I feel I'm a very responsible person and I didn't want to become that person who just pushes blindly on my passion and not think about all the responsibilities I have.
Yeah, okay.
I look at all of my responsibilities I have towards whoever I have in my life in a very, I think it's a very, what's the word? it's an opportunity for me, you know, that I'm able to do what I'm able to do. All of these things that I need to do, I don't see them as a burden. I see them as a very nice thing Allah has given to me to do. And I'm very happy to fulfill all of them while I'm doing all this. So it doesn't feel like a burden.
Yeah.
And when I have hard days, I just take a day break. I tell my team, just don't contact me for anything. I just need this day off and we'll see. And then the next day or the day next to that, I'm back to normal.
Yeah. So what are some of the major challenges that you faced with doing your own thing?
Doing my own thing or doing this business like beauty? Acha. So when I started, initially people were a little hesitant to accept a Pakistani brand.
Like people were skeptical, of course.
People were skeptical that, you know, it might not be good because it's a local brand. You know, एक वो थोड़ी सी है ना पाकिस्तान में थोड़ी के local है तो अच्छा नहीं होगा. तो वो था, but slowly that changed. And now the issues are not to do with the consumers or the way we're running things or social media or anything. I mean, social media can be apni challenges. Instagram is very moody. But now it's more of things that are happening in Pakistan.
With the economy.
With the economy.
Inflation.
Yes. Inflation, economy. But it's been taxes. It's been one thing or another. We had faced COVID in the middle, floods in the middle, then import ban lag gaya tha, jo abhi bhi it's not completely open. Taxes, inflation, people don't have the buying power. And makeup is not your need, it's a luxury.
It's not an essential, it's a nice to have.
It's a nice to have. So all of that. And now what we are trying to do is to push it to international consumer, like Desi market in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, South Asia. Southeast Asian. So that's what we want to do to grow the brand further, but that's been very, very difficult. I feel Serish, and she's been on the podcast as well. She lives in Abu Dhabi. She's the owner of Spectra Pakistan. We talk a lot because we have the same issues. So she was saying that, and I was like, this is so true. It's like all the issues that we face in Pakistan, the business owner faces in Pakistan, those are the issues you don't have to face in order to grow. Because वो issues जब आप face करना बंद होते हैं ना, तब आप focus करते हैं, अच्छा marketing में ये कर लेते हैं, brands में campaigns में ये कर लेते हैं, अच्छा अब ये कर, हमें time ही नहीं मिलता.
Because so that is one of the reasons why I also took the time off from my business was because that was actually exactly the reason. Because if you're spending so much time firefighting, when do you focus on growth?
Exactly.
Right? In Pakistan, I felt like I was still trying to solve the problems that I was trying to solve in the first year of launching the business. Because they would not stop. And right, like how can you scale when you're still trying to solve the same problems, right? And I just felt like, okay, like I could find the solutions, but it would require me to find those solutions, right? And there was only so much I can do, right? So obviously the environment there is definitely not very conducive. And anybody who has to run a business back there has to face a lot of challenges, which is why I have a huge appreciation for brands who have made it and who have done it. Because I know the challenges that come with that, but like obviously because you're importing, so supply side pe nahi the, but I wasn't importing because I wanted my business to be entirely made in Pakistan. So those challenges, Zainab, those are on another level. The supply side of challenges in Pakistan, they are very, insane. Very I know. And just trying to, have a smooth supply chain. And that was basically the main reason. That was what I had to firefight at every launch, right? So वही था कि मतलब मेरे ख्वाब क्या थे और मैं mentally कहाँ पहुँच चुकी थी, but मुझे physically किन चीज़ों में अपने आप को I was spending myself, and then after having child I was like, I need a break from this. And maybe when things look better then one can do it.
True. No, I've had really bad days this year to do with Zay, because I was like, it's like it's never ending.
Yeah,
there's
it's never-
always something going on.
Yeah.
You know, if there's nothing else, then there'll be probably a strike.
Yeah.
And the whole of Lahore is closed. I'm just giving an example. And then no deliveries are going. I was like, and then the customers are like, where is my order? I was like, the whole Lahore is closed. You know, these things, like, why living in Dubai, never had to see these issues. And plus, I work with businesses directly.
Yeah.
I'm in a business of helping businesses.
Yeah.
So these issues they never have to face, you know. They have, it's beyond that, you know. For them, it's about, okay, how do we get customers? How do we run our business to get customers, to grow, and all of that? So those are the issues.
Yeah, and then that's why, like, I feel like people who are in Pakistan, I mean, I just came from there.
Yeah.
So I still consider myself, and who are doing anything there, it's the rest of the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're playing on a hard mode.
Very
they're playing on a hard mode, and especially if you're a woman, you have another set of challenges: the lack of independence, the lack of financial freedom, the lack of trust from your society and everything. So double hard mode.
Double hard mode.
A, general issues, instability,
uske baad,
and then being a woman. So what if anybody is able to do even the smallest thing there? It's a big achievement.
Big thing. I got these earrings made from someone in Pakistan.
Okay.
And she just customizes these really beautiful raisin earrings where she will write something on a paper, and I think it's like burned and then it's put in raisin.
Okay.
And like really beautiful. Like she writes something in Urdu, and I got those made from her. Not very expensive. It was 2,000 something.
Okay.
And I was wearing them here, and I was showing them to my husband's niece. She's my really good friend. So I was showing them to her. I'm like, see, I got these made, and you know, and she was like, because I often show her things I get from Pakistan. She's like, oh my God, there's so much potential.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it. I was like, if she was to sell this on Etsy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
she would make so much money.
Yeah.
And that's true. There's so many girls who are and even guys, they're doing just like really nice things from home, but they have no way of getting that money.
Yes.
Or being on these international platforms.
Yes, they don't.
Yeah,
उनके
and
पास वो access नहीं है. They don't have access to. चलो अगर किसी तरह उन्होंने कुछ कर भी लिया setup, फिर bank accounts के मसले, receiving that money from abroad. So many technical issues that people don't even like understand जो वहाँ पर exist करते हैं. And वहाँ पर problem ये भी है कि, so for example, if that girl is doing that, the amount of effort and money that it takes her to make that, but she cannot price her product accordingly because people don't have the buying power. So it's very hard to sustain a business there, to run things smoothly. It's really complicated.
Yeah, inflation right now is so real. I know we keep on talking about it online and people saying it. People who are privileged maybe don't take it seriously. उनको नहीं शायद इतना पता चल रहा है. People who are not living in Pakistan, they don't realize it. But me running a business, I see the difference.
You
in
see
sales.
the difference.
People you wouldn't even think buying a certain product, and now they really have to like, they're like, oh, we love it, and then they will wait for the sale, or they will wait.
They really have to think about it now. Yeah,
they do.
You know, and what was the biggest shocker this time was that if there is one time in the entire year when people buy things and sales shoot is Eid. And in this year, clothing brands were at a loss on Eid because people didn't even buy clothes for Eid. And that is the one time everybody shops.
Yeah.
So that was a huge realization कि लोग ईद पर भी नहीं खरीद रहे, तो
कब
नहीं है पैसे लोगों
नहीं
के पास.
है, वाकई में नहीं है. एंड हम लोग जब सेल्स लगाते हैं अपनी, वी वुड गेट सो मच सेल आउट ऑफ इट. एंड नाउ सेल्स पे होती हैं सेल, बट नाउ व्हेन आई लुक बैक आई वाज लाइक इट्स नॉट द सेम. एंड फॉर द लॉन्गेस्ट टाइम आई यूज्ड टू थिंक, वो हो जाता है ना, पहले आप अपने आप को करते हो लाइक मे बी आई एम डूइंग समथिंग रॉन्ग, मे बी पीपल डोंट लाइक द ब्रांड एनी मोर, बट देन slowly I realized like no, it's not that. People are actually really struggling.
Yeah,
you know,
people are really struggling. Yeah, and they can't afford, but then because you are also suffering from inflation, so the cost of production is also high.
Obviously, yeah.
So the cost of production is high, so you have to charge more, but people don't have the money. It's such a bad cycle.
When I started in 2018, the dollar was at 140.
Okay.
140, 150-ish. And now
280
something.
So how do you it's so difficult for businesses like you to then
I would say, I'm sorry, I'm just being so I'm not being negative, just being realistic. I think abhi jo main chal rahi hu na, it's because of my love for doing this. Otherwise, if I have to make a very, very practical decision, मेरे सर पे board बैठा होता, and be like, Zainab, we have to make a decision. There's no point going on, doing just what I'm doing, because everything we make, it goes back. Everything we make, that it goes back. And it's become harder because now we have restocks. And then we have new products. It's not just our new cheese launch karo, we have restocks. But because I love it so much and I really believe in it, and I feel like things will...
of course, and nothing is ever smooth, right? वो बीच में आता है, dip तो आता है, वो तो पूरी दुनिया में आता है.
Exactly. So that's another reason I love working just myself. I've been offered by so many people, let us invest in your brand. I was like, no, because that will mean that you'll have to give up a lot of control, and the whole point is to do something where you can do by yourself and enjoy it. Exactly.
You don't want to deal with the pressure of I've been there as well. Okay, like इन्वेस्टर नहीं चाहिए बिकॉज मुझे कंट्रोल चाहिए, मुझे अपनी मर्जी करनी है, मुझे प्रेशर नहीं फील, लाइक दिस इज वन थिंग दैट आई एंजॉय, लव डूइंग. आई डोंट नीड प्रेशर एंड एंजाइटी इन दिस आल्सो.
बिल्कुल.
एंड अकाउंटेबिलिटी आ जाएगी फजूल की, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. Okay, so I know an interesting fact about you. And that is that you're actually married to an Indian. Yeah, so what's that like, and how did that happen? Thought maybe you could switch it up a bit now.
So we met at work, and we got married. And it's been amazing.
No, but was that a struggle? Like,
Because how did I skip that big?
That was the part. Like, because Indian, right?
No, there was a big struggle. My family was not okay with it.
Okay.
They're like, nahi ho sakta, bilkul nahi ho sakta. And then we waited patiently. They will ho jayega.
So why? Because
I think but आम सी एक चीज़ है ना पाकिस्तान में, स्पेशली अगर आप पाकिस्तान में रह रहे हो, प्लस माई पेरेंट्स आर ओल्ड नाउ, सो फॉर देम इट वाज वेरी एक अनइमेजिनेबल सी चीज़ थी कि इंडियन से शादी नहीं, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. पाकिस्तान, इंडिया. एंड टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, व्हेन आई वाज ग्रोइंग अप एज वेल, आई वुड हैव नेवर थॉट
that you would marry an Indian.
I would marry an Indian. So ऐसे नहीं था बिल्कुल भी. And but when I met him, and it was very nice. His family is very nice, and then I felt like, no, he's the person I want to be with. And he's very different in a way. And I don't know if all Indian men are like that, because I'm sure it's not the same, because the issues Pakistan में we have with men, I think across border hai. Lekin Ahmed itself and his family, what I've seen, they are very they're very nice in a way that I've never felt Ahmed is controlling, or Ahmed is, he wants to, it's like coexist kar rahe hain hum. He does the things that he likes. I get to do things I like. I never have to ask permission from him. Like, Ahmed, मैं ये कर लूँ.
Equal amount of independence.
It's like a conversation. What do you think? So he was like that, and I felt very free around him. I didn't feel like, and plus, considering, as I've mentioned before, I was very stubborn and kind of headstrong also in things that I wanted. I never felt like he's the one who would ever be like, nahi, ye nahi ho sakta. So I felt very comfortable around him, and he just helped me really grow as a person. I felt jo mere andar calmness aayi, change aaya, from being very angry at things or being very like stubborn, wo Ahmed ki wajah se aaya, because he's very calm himself.
And did you find any fundamental differences in culture?
There are differences, but I didn't see or again, maybe it's his family, maybe it's not common for everything, but I didn't see huge differences.
Yeah, because I think the culture is very similar.
But their family, I would say, is one thing that I see, like, and what I've seen in not just my family, but in our like khandan mein, दूसरों की families देखते हैं, their family is very simple.
Okay.
You know, and simple not in the sense that simple in the clothes that they wear or the things that they buy. No, like weddings. The weddings are very simple. एक दिन पे एक शादी and that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the way they live, it's just much simpler.
Yeah, they don't complicate things.
Nahin.
Yeah.
Compared
Or
to
overdo
us.
them.
And they're really fun. So when you sit around them, it's all like बहुत ज़्यादा हंसी मजाक and all of that. And they're not very serious about
everything.
Very like laid back.
Yeah.
And I think it's also maybe because they're from a place which is very laid back, which is Goa.
Okay.
So he's from Goa.
Okay.
So maybe it's because of that. I don't know.
Do you ever go back there to India?
No. Ahmed has been to Pakistan.
Okay.
But I have never been because visa nahi mila. I'm waiting. And plus, it's not just that. Then he had kids and like, अच्छा सब जाएंगे. So we're waiting for kids to grow up a little bit.
हाँ, अब बस अब एक life है जो चल रही है. Yeah.
So I've it's very nice. And Ahmed as my like a life partner, I think I made a really good decision. Him, because I feel like अगर एक and I say that a lot to people. It's like अगर एक typical Pakistani मर्द से मेरी शादी होती, I don't think कि वो ज़्यादा देर तक चलती.
Yeah, but I also think that it's generally like maybe this is not as much of an Indian Pakistani thing, because I think वो India में actually patriarchy थोड़ी ज़्यादा थी because of their religion as well. Yeah. But I think generally progress आया है now, obviously.
And I see, or maybe because
and I think India में progress थोड़ा ज़्यादा आया है. So
the Indian men that I've seen, whoever I've interacted with, whoever that I've worked with, I find them. Or maybe because they're here. And
I was just going to say that maybe, you know, it's them being over here.
Yeah, it's quite nice. And to be very honest, the Pakistani men that I see here also in Dubai, they're different. Okay. You know, it's not that as if Indians.
Okay.
I have a lot of people like in our community who are living quite nice. You know, I don't happily married.
So in Dubai, I've noticed that there's a lot of independent Indian women. Completely independent. By independent, I mean not living with their family or... their spouse or you know, that's not true for a lot of Pakistani women, right? You don't see that here.
Not a lot. There are.
Okay.
I have a few colleagues working with me who have moved alone from Pakistan and working here, but not a lot.
Like Indians, so I think there's a lot of women.
A lot. And you know, it's very sad, Hamna, but I'm going to be honest here. The Pakistani women who chose to be independent and who come here struggle a lot later.
Okay, why is that?
Because I have I don't know how to say it. Okay, so when they want to get married, they're asked, why were you living alone?
Yeah.
Or were you living alone? Why did you choose to live alone? All of these questions are asked if they're going for like an arranged marriage kind of setup.
Right.
Obviously, if they find someone, that's different. But even if they find someone, their family might raise those questions. And I've seen that happening.
And I think they kind of doubt their character. कि अगर अकेली रही थी तो पता नहीं क्या कर रही थी. Yeah.
And it's very sad.
It's very sad. Nobody would ask this to a young man living on his own in any country in the world.
वो तो मेहनत कर रहा है. You know,
मेहनत कर रहे हैं और अगर वो कुछ कर भी रहा है उसके साथ-साथ तो खैर है, वो तो लड़का है ना.
So that's why a lot of girls get scared of doing this, you know.
Because it's attached to now their character. It's not as simple, right? It's not very complicated. That's
so that's a different kind of struggle.
And that's why they don't come. They don't.
और फिर वैसे
one of the reasons.
but लोगों को I think वैसे भी बहुत डर हमारी I feel like पाकिस्तान में लड़कियाँ थोड़ी again because of the society that we live in वो थोड़ा सा एक protection लोगों को मिलती है उनको तो फिर उनको ये भी लगता है कि हम कैसे survive करेंगे अकेले हम कैसे करेंगे हालांकि it's not difficult at all here in Dubai. If I'm just talking about Dubai, it's very safe.
But I really think it has less to do with safety and more to do with character. Yeah.
And that's the saddest
because
thing
everybody
ever.
knows that Dubai is safer than Pakistan, so like you know their brothers and fathers can't protect them back home as much as they can be protected here alone.
Huh? You know, kuch hua hai, foreign police ko call karo, the police will come and they will be there with you, you know, and they will respect you.
And they won't be the ones to disrespect you instead.
No, they won't ask you weird questions. तुम इस वक्त यहाँ क्या कर रही थी? This won't be the question they ask. They'll ask you what happened and they'll help you.
Yeah.
So that's the sad part. But yeah, coming back to Married in Indian, very nice. I highly recommend if you find someone.
Okay, so you have young kids.
Yes.
How do you do everything? I know it's such a cliche question. I mean, I hate to ask as well. But you know, it's because I know people do wonder, right? Like,
So my kids are still young. One is turning 6 in January, and the little one is turning 4 end of this month. How do I do? The thing is, first of all, I stick to a schedule. That's very important. Unke sone ka time, mere jagne ka time, mere sone ka time. That helps having a schedule. Secondly, I have a lot of help. You know, I have a nanny who helps a lot. She's a godsend. I can't survive without her. She's amazing. And she loves my kids as her kids, you know. So I'm so thankful to her. Then my husband, you know, he always helps. So for example, I like working out, but I only work out in the mornings. So it doesn't disrupt my time with them in the evenings. You know, evenings are theirs. So I wake up very early, and before work, I will go and work out. So in those days, usually me and my husband both drop them to school before going to the office. So in those days, my husband will drop them. You know, so he's not like, nahi, tum kyun nahi aa rahi?
So it's like you have support.
I have support.
Yeah.
So he will drop them. Then if there's something, for example, when I was going to Switzerland, Musa's graduation came to that day. And I didn't know when I booked everything. And I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, I won't be there. That. I know. Then I had a talk first I spoke to Mavish because she's amazing. She's amazing with like understanding of things, you know. So she told me like, don't worry, just have a talk with him, your son himself. So he's so little, but I spoke to him. I was like, Musa, will you be okay? And he's like, yeah, Mama, I'm fine. It's fine. Then I told my husband, can you obviously attend? And he attended and it went perfectly. So I have the support in a nutshell. And plus I feel like there are a few things that have helped that मैं हर चीज़ करने की कोशिश भी नहीं करती हूँ. Like for example, अगर घर की सफाई है, अगर mess बना भी हुआ है, I'm okay with that. You know, I won't be like, oh my God, अब मैं यहाँ बैठी हुई हूँ और वहाँ पर एक पानी का ग्लास पड़ा है और उस ग्लास को उठा के मुझे किचन में रखना ही रखना है.
Right. Yeah, you don't take the pressure of having it together all the time.
I don't, and that helps.
I think that really helps because a lot of the time, like I've seen, you know, people who even have the support or have the choice. A lot of people don't. Obviously, I acknowledge that, but it's also your mind, right? Not just the physical aspect of it, like how much how much pressure you take. So I don't take pressure from these things, and I try to focus on things that are more important. Like अगर मैं शाम को वापस आई हूँ, so I'll just focus on being with them till they go to sleep, putting them to bed. And on the weekends, you know, I'll be with them, and it's fucking fine. I think it's you know, this is an important thing that you said, because a lot of the women like see if they're working or they have their own business or whatever they're doing, they still feel shame and guilt when it comes to your basic ortho wale kaam, right? So even if they're going out and they're doing all of that, they will be feeling the pressure of doing all of those other things because in their heads they've been conditioned to think that this is their real and actual responsibility, and that no matter what you do, like if you're a doctor or a pilot or some kind of big space engineer, and you know you've solved the world's issues, but you come back home and your house is a mess. Shame,
I know.
Guilt.
Yes.
Right. So I just think that women really need to let go of all of this shame and guilt attached to their role as a wife, as a mother, because, and I also feel like, you know, in the same breath that we've also reduced these roles do these physical things of serving, of cooking, of cleaning, when motherhood is so much more than that. When being someone's spouse and partner is so much more than that. It's not about serving them water and tea, and tea, right? But because we've attached these really menial tasks to these roles, you feel like crap because you think you're not performing those roles correctly, but it's not that. Like I keep trying to make a lot of people understand that, listen, it's okay if you're not the one changing your child's diaper all the time. It's okay if you have help. It's okay if you're not the one making every meal for your child, because your child doesn't need that from you. Your child needs so much more. And if you're going to be spent doing that then you're not doing so much more you could be doing.
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है.
Right? So I really think that we need to reinvent the job descriptions.
Exactly.
Or the definitions that come under these roles.
एक सोसाइटी में शेमिंग भी तो बहुत होती है ना. भाई उसका तो घर इतना गंदा था,
घर उल्टा पड़ा रहता है,
उसकी तो डस्टिंग नहीं हुई थी, मैंने हाथ लगाया तो उस पर डस्टिंग. सो आपको खुद भी थोड़ा सा ढीठ बनना पड़ता है, गेस. अगर आपको कोई ऐसा कमेंट देता है तो या तो you can just tell them to
I'm not saying that your life should be a mess, obviously. Like as an adult you should do things, yes. Yeah, but that also doesn't mean that you have to do them out of this shame or this pressure. Or have it all together all the time. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you don't get to wash 2 dishes before you go to bed, it's fine. वो सुबह धुल जाएंगी. So ये चीज़ that helps me. Just I think वो उसमें आ जाता है कि कौन सी चीज़ आपने पहले ज़्यादा important है and then जो नहीं है ज़्यादा important, because I'm a human being at the end of the day. I get tired also. I can't push myself to a limit where I'm like exhausted. And for me personally, if I'm not well rested, I can't do anything. मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर सकती. I have to sleep on time. I have to have my rest. Otherwise, I can't do anything which I'm supposed to do.
Which is why I feel like priority mindset for women is very important. Because what I've seen now recently is that because women should work and women should be financially independent and women should know how to do this and that, but their house is also perfect. And we've started using terms like superwomen and where the idea behind the superwoman concept is that she's doing everything, right, in a perfect balance. That is why I have a small issue with the concept of a woman who has a balanced life, where she works also and her kids are well fed also and her house is clean also. And I know that there are people like that who exist, but that is not healthy for everyone. And that is why priority mindset is important. That for one woman, and that I've seen for myself. So like for myself, I've seen that there are times when my house looks like a complete piece of crap because that is taking the back seat. But I know that my work is doing really well. My work needs my attention right now. And then there are times that I know that I'm not being able to do justice to my content platform, or I'm not putting out a lot of valuable content, and I really have to free myself of that shame or that guilt, because in my head I know that right now my priority is my son and my house. Right? And priority mindset is so important. With understanding that what you are not prioritizing does not need your shame and guilt. It's fine.
Exactly.
You can go like this, right? This is priority right now, this is not. This is priority right now, this is not. And you can live your life in those waves. Everything can't be perfect all the time.
I think मुझे तो अब थोड़ा सा ना इस hustling culture से doing everything से चिढ़ सी होने लग गई है. Whenever I see I am 21 and I have made this money and this side hustle, I'm like, no, stop. Stop. This has to stop. And working for yourself is amazing, but then working of yourself के साथ जितने भी चीज़ें आती हैं उसके बारे में hardly anyone talks. I feel like you need to do what is the most suitable for you and makes you happy.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen this movie, and I recommend this movie to everyone. It's called जो movie का नाम ही भूल गया. It's a Pixar movie. Soul.
Okay, yeah.
Have you watched Soul?
I've seen it.
So there's a movie called Soul. It's an animated film, and it has such a beautiful message. I feel like everyone has to watch this. I know it coming from me, it might feel weird that I'm doing a corporate job and I have a business and it seems like I'm hustling, but honestly, I don't feel like I'm hustling because I have a team which helps me, and I get downtime and I get to do things that I like also, you know. So some days are difficult, yes, but mostly it's okay.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to watch this movie Soul. It has such a beautiful message that we are so focused on this thing of passion, and you know, my passion is to do this and I want to do this and this is what my life defines. But sometimes it's not that. Sometimes you can be happy living a really
Average.
simple life, maybe having a simple 9-to-5 job, having just enough, having a family, and just that, you know. And people need to understand that. ये जो running culture, hustling culture है ना, इसने काफी लोगों को गलत तरीके से impact किया हुआ है.
Yeah, that's true.
मतलब सबको लग रहा है कि हम बस पीछे रह गए हैं.
Yeah, like we aren't doing enough.
We are not doing enough.
Yeah, and I just feel like, see, it's that some people, like, so at some point in your life, you might have to hustle. Right? You might have to, because your circumstances are like that. I'm not just saying monetarily, but you're really passionate and you want to build something, right? And you are able to, and you are even able to do that. So you have a job and you have kids and you have a business as well and blah, 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 everything. But it's just important to realize when it's not right for you. That's the thing.
Exactly.
They should be. That's why I keep talking about guilt and shame when you should not do it because you think that you should be hustling and everyone is hustling and I don't have enough. When things are coming naturally and organically to you, you're in a hustle mode, do it. But if you're hustling because of some kind of FOMO effect, then it's not
wrong.
good for you. So your intention, your feeling behind everything is what matters, not what it is. Right? True. And like you could very well be very happy in an average life, but you're only like, you know, I should be having some kind of passion because people have passions. Why don't I have a passion? Maybe I should. No, bhai. You don't need it.
Exactly.
People who are passionate about stuff, they never got to explore their passion, or they felt that they had a passion. But not everybody has to have a big passion in life. The point is to just live. Whatever that is, right? And you can have a passion and you cannot have a passion. You can do a 9-to-5 your entire life, or you can never want to step into a corporate office and do your own thing. It's important to just do what feels right to you rather than what the culture is being defined by some people that
we see. वही बात है, social media really impacts your
it really does
life.
And
what you see, what you
my problem is with that people who, sorry, I interrupted you. Like my problem is with that, you know, people who speak a lot in absolutes, right? कि वो 9-to-5 को ना कि बेइज्जती करेंगे. Do your thing, find your passion. No. And that is where the harm began. Where people spoke in absolute mentalities, telling people what they should be doing with their life because what they're doing in their life right now is not good enough. Making them feel less.
बिल्कुल. That's the true.
True. So is there anything else, Zainab?
No, I think we covered everything. So one thing I would like to add is, again, going back to the corporate job. I see a lot of people...
Actually, I'd love to hear that perspective because that doesn't... Like I said, people don't talk about...
So, the thing is, if you, for example, go to TikTok, right? So you will see people talking bad about corporate world. And that stands true for a lot of people. ऐसा नहीं है कि it's all like rainbows and butterflies. Especially American corporate culture is extremely toxic. From what I know, what I've heard and seen. UK, in Europe, it's much better. Dubai mein, it depends where you're working. I feel, however, that once you are out of your university, once you've done your main degree, or even while you're studying, work in a corporate job, you know, any kind of, or work with someone or for someone. I feel it teaches you so much I remember when I was out of university, I didn't have any, I had some experience. I didn't have a lot of experience. Things as simple as writing emails, Excels and PowerPoints and professional ones took me time to learn, dealing with people, dealing with difficult colleagues or difficult situations, or having meetings where you are running the meeting, you are the one who is responsible for like running that meeting, or giving presentations very confidently or presenting projects and all of that, all of that you will learn in a corporate job. All of that experience you will have from that job, and then you can take that experience and apply it
wherever you
want.
Yeah.
If it's your own business. I feel I've learned so much from my boss, my current boss. He's been my boss for a very long time, and he's the most calm person, but he's also very, very practical, very objective, and the things that he presents and the way he speaks, I've learned so much from him, not just him, like even the difficult people that I got to work with, be it customers or be it my colleagues, the difficult people I had to deal with, they taught me a lot, they taught me how to deal with such people, or how to handle very stressful, very, very difficult kind of situations which you feel like बस मुझसे नहीं हो, like this is too much for me. Like I at one point the part of my work was also to organize events, not organize in a sense like logistically, but finding partners, coming up with topics, and then so there have been times where during the event something would go wrong. Be it a presentation, something happened with presentation, there's a mistake in the presentation, or the presenter's mic is not working, but there's that person who's standing there is very important. But being in those stressful situations actually made me very confident and kind of how to handle this, like not panic. Ab koi bhi aisi situation ho na, I'm very calm in a very like difficult situation, and I feel like I am that because of all those experiences, plus because I'm a mother now. So you learned a lot. But I feel like everyone needs to have some, obviously when you're in a technical field like a doctor or engineer, wo to waise hi aapko karna padta. But I'm talking about other fields. It's so important to work with or for someone and learn all of these basics, because now I hire people also because I have a team. So when I'm hiring people and I see CVs, it's so easy. Like आप एक नज़र डालते हो CV पे, आपको पता चल जाता है, So how to write a CV, how to find a job, how to write emails, as I mentioned before.
These are all essential skills.
Universities में कोई नहीं सिखाता.
Yeah, and I think like you're right, because a lot of these are also soft skills. Like ये तो कुछ technical skills है ना, but even soft skills that you can only learn on the job.
बिल्कुल.
Like dealing with people and problem solving, and a lot of these like critical thinking, how to handle maybe difficult situations. So these are all soft skills, and I think you only learn them on the job. Nobody can teach you. So that's why I always say that even if eventually your goal is to do something of your own, to start your own business or whatever that is, work in a corporate place. बहुत कुछ सिखाएगी, and then those skills are just for your lifetime, and then you can apply it on your work and in your personal life even. Makes sense. Thank you, Zainab.
You're welcome.
It was really nice to have you.
Same here. It was so nice talking to you.
It was really nice to explore a lot of different topics with you. Very insightful. Even like I said, I've learned a lot from you just by following you as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing Zay Beauty to Pakistan.
Thank you.
Honestly, like again, in my eyes, it's such a huge success story, which is why like I don't understand. I'm just like why haven't you been on more interviews, right? So underrated, so underappreciated.
No, I think mostly because I live here.
You live here, yeah.
हमने कितनी दफा प्लान करने की कोशिश की थी, but मैं पाकिस्तान नहीं, so इस वजह से भी I think.
Yeah, that's true. वैसे that's probably the reason why. But good luck to you for.
Thank you.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about Éclat.
Yeah.
So sorry guys, that's a bit more. How was the transition from like a makeup brand to a skincare brand as well? And
Difficult.
why did you do that?
Okay, so Monicla की story भी कुछ इस तरह से है that when I've always had problematic skin. मतलब बहुत severely problematic नहीं कि मुझे बहुत होता है ना कुछ लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा like acne हो गया वो उस तरह नहीं लेकिन थी issues थे like I had a lot of acne growing up. So I however when I was pregnant the first time I had severe acne like इतनी ज़्यादा और अब obviously when you're pregnant you can't use or very strong actives and all of that. So I started exploring Korean skin care at that time and I realized that how gentle and amazing Korean skincare is. The formulations are mostly natural with active of very low percentages. हाँ. So for example अगर उसमें AHA and BHAs हैं वो बहुत low percentage में होंगे and then उसके काफ़ी ज़्यादा natural उसके अंदर ingredients होंगे which complement and make something. So मुझे ये था कि I want to bring those kinds of formulations to Pakistan because ज़्यादातर लोग वो हर कोई एक्टिव्स की बात करे ना आजकल 5% this and 10% this and ये all of that and I don't use any of that. I only use now mostly Korean stuff and obviously Zay Beauty की चीज़ें. So I started exploring and मेरा ये था कि I want to get it made in Korea from a Korean lab. So that's how I started like working on like a skincare thing. Obviously makeup तो था ही but I obviously really like skincare as well. तो वो एक kind of transition बड़ा natural था लेकिन again I'm not a skin expert right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a person. So I had to take a lot of help from the lab that I was working with because they were pros. So they would tell me this will work, this will not work, this can be done. In Korea, they are not by law allowed to have very high percentages of certain actives. तो मैंने उनको बोला मुझे इतनी नहीं हो सकती थोड़ी सी increase. Like this not allowed. Like we as per law cannot put it in there. So
why is it like harmful for you?
As per them,
why? Like why is the law?
See the thing with actives is that it might work very well for one person and might not work at all for the other person. It's like a hit and miss. And secondly, because the percentages are so high, a lot of these ingredients get absorbed by your skin, right? So it might internally kind of उस वक्त शायद आपको ना पता चल रहा हो लेकिन बाद में आप you know के साथ और and a lot of times you won't even know that this is the reason that that's happening, right? So I believe firmly on a more gentle skincare which will change your skin when you consistently use it. Right? So I don't believe in 2 days में मेरे तो acne गायब हो गई और मेरा तो skin में ये हो गया. I don't believe in any and we don't claim any of that. We even get questions asked on Monicla कितने दिनों में difference आएगा and we tell them straight away every skin is different. You have to consistently use the product and see how that works for you.
And I think the problem is that people generally want very quick fixes. And if they don't see the results quickly,
तो वो नहीं है सही
they leave it. That's a problem.
So I wanted again changing mindset की बात है. So I'm trying to change that mindset, move people away from very strong
like
actives.
Even the exfoliant that you guys, it's like I've never used something so soft on your skin. Like a chemical exfoliant.
It's a chemical exfoliant, but again it has AHA, BHA, PHA, all three, but on very, very safe percentage. Plus it has a lot of natural ingredients in it.
I used it last night.
I love it. I love that thing so much. I use it every 2 nights and then the 3rd night. Aajkal I've started using a pharmacy से मिलता है the retinol, not the retinol, sorry, the other thing, tretinoin. So that's nice. मैं ट्राई कर रही हूँ. मैंने ऑनलाइन भी बात की थी. लाइक प्लीज डोंट टेक माई रिकमेंडेशन बिकॉज मैंने अभी यूज़ करना शुरू किया है. सो लेट्स सी हाउ दैट गोस.
बट आई थिंक दिस मस्ट बी अ बिट मोर चैलेंजिंग बिकॉज इट्स अबाउट स्किन एंड it's more scientific, right? It's not just something you can
so so that was very important for me not to claim that I'm a skin specialist. I've never even said that. I was like, I'm just someone who's bringing this to you and then I have the idea behind it, but all of the work mostly is done by the lab
and they're
very different to work with Koreans. completely different from Chinese.
In
and
what
Taiwan.
sense?
They are because I think their economy is much stronger and they have a lot of business. So they don't have that thing about like bring your business to us. It's like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And the MOQs are very high.
Achha,
Very high.
how much? Like
4,000 per product. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's tough for a business, especially when that's starting out.
I know. Yes.
Now
पर वही बात है ना वो मैं कह रही थी ना stubbornness कोरिया से ही बनवाना है.
do you have 3 products?
I
in
have
the
3
Moniclo right
products,
now?
yeah, and we'll have more inshallah soon. Yeah.
Okay, good luck with that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Zainab, for coming.
Thank you.
And having this conversation with me. So many things that I've learned from you right now, and generally because I've been following you as well. A lot of knowledge you've put out there, and a lot of getting to know you as well. So thank you for that. I'm sure there's so many people who've been wanting to hear more from you, because you've just been like the face behind a brand, but there's so much more to everyone. So thank you for taking out the time and doing this. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation.
I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Happy Chirp. Please leave comments below. Share your thoughts with me. What are some of the thoughts that we discussed that resonated with you, that you have thoughts to share upon? I'd love to read them. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.